Hi. For you to see this and see me, I have to come this low. Okay, I have a handful of carrots, enough for one. I'm doing this many potatoes because I'm going to keep some of the stage 1 and use it to make the chips tomorrow. I have the onions, which are the shallots, 2 mushrooms, and 3 tomatoes, which I will chop up and put with it. So our first thing is we have to deal with these things. This is the pot. And you won't believe where I got this thing started. Some water in it. And 5 days later, I have it plugged in. Right. And where's my potato peeler? Found it! I'm not going to do much with the carrots. And you might go, 4 doesn't look very many. Well, it's not. Can you hear that? It started to rain. So because the skins aren't brilliant on the potatoes, then the skins will have to come off. They don't make the wheeze the way they used to. So, potatoes are all done. And since that is all that's going into that, which, if you want to have a look, this, you just need to put its lid on. There's not a lot of room in a caravan to have equipment, so there's not a lot of bed space. So, as you see, I just pick porridge and then go down to about 14 minutes. That will now come up to temperature. Once temperature is reached, making sure that this is across its seal and the lid is on. When it gets there, the countdown will start for 14 minutes. Once finished, we will leave it to be opened naturally, and then we will take the potatoes out and we will cut them and we will put them onto a silver tray and put them into the halogen, which then gets turned on and cooks. Most of my lipstick is buggered off by now, you know. It's now 5:15. I should have took the rest of this off. But never mind, no one's seeing this. Except you. That's a bit weird, but there you go. So we have all of that bit done. Now, I could just leave these whole, give them a wash, put them in, put a bit of oil on them and warm them up so they'll be whole, but I much prefer having mine chopped up. So I'm going to chop them up quite fine. They will still be put in the pan with the meat. They will have a drizzle of olive oil put onto them, and if I feel like it's some salt. So mushrooms. Let's see how much of this we can take off before we have to start cutting it. Now, if you take it, most meals that you get from Gusto or HelloFresh use one of these. When I did that, I found that one was completely lost in whatever it was in, and you couldn't find it and you couldn't taste it. So I'm doing 3. If you take it, their insides are a different colour to a standard onion. And of course, I did say I was going to use Royals, but I decided to make chips instead of a like veg pot. So girl can change her mind, can't you? So the meat is still here. It's 5:15 now. It was 3:30 when I did it. So it's still sitting covered up. So you could see it's marinating and taking the salt into it, and the other pepper and garlic. And as I'm talking to you, I'm going even slower doing this. So with that, I have to wait for that to go. So with that, back later. Okay, so the potatoes have been cooked, as you might be able to see the steam coming off them. So we now cook them. They are very hot, so you want to do it as quickly. They are still firm, but they have softened more. But you should be able to cut them into strips, not too thin. Try cutting them all the same thickness. Don't give yourself any little tiny ends. Now you got them cut, carefully just open them out. So you can see there were edges. Because you want the surface area so you can put on the salt and sprinkle it with some oil. So all now cut and laying flat and ready. Take your salt. Now I use a mix of the olive oil and standard oil, which is sunflower. You want just a tiny bit of the olive because it is quite a strong taste. So you don't want as much. Then you sprinkle on now. With that on, this goes into the halogen now. 10 minutes each side, and then that should be done. The halogen is set to 200, and I've given it 10 minutes on that side. We'll see how the colour looks, and if you want them any darker, just leave them in for a little bit longer. But the halogen is the cheapest way to do it than putting on an oven. So we have that on. We started the meat. The meat is actually, Red, have a look. The meat is under this plate with the onions, and with one hand I can't get the lid off. the meat's under there. I seared both sides of the meat to keep in the moisture. I then, because I put this on, then it is hot. It is slowly cooking the meat. Now that's been in there since this finished, so it actually is probably cooking pretty well. I do not like my meat red because I just think it's not cooked properly and I'm going to get ill. So I do like it cooked all the way through. So in the pan, as we said, we have the meat with all its seasoning on. We added the mushrooms and the onion, and we added about 3 or 4 tablespoons of cider. That should give it a bit of a different taste, but the alcohol will have burnt off with temperature, so therefore it'll give a sauce with the meat juices, which will go into the onion and into the mushroom. So back later. Okay, so we have the meat out resting. The rest of it I've just turned off. We're now going to bring the chips. Scared, didn't you? Now, because yesterday, or was it the day before, I managed to get some chicken burger type things for really cheap. I got 6 of them and it was £2. So guess what? Our steak has a friend. The only thing we now need now, I've halved our mushroom and onion, and I'm keeping the other half for tomorrow, in the same way as I'm keeping the other bit of meat. So if you hear the noise in the background, that's the fan of my induction hob. So this is how it looks. If you want your chips done a little bit more, then you just leave them in a little bit longer. But for me, they are actually cooked through. So we have our chicken fillet thing with batter on, and we have our steak. And if you see, I haven't cooked it. It is still a little bit more redder. I'm trying to learn to eat it that way, but it's only been in for, well, it went in to be seared, then it had the cover put over it, then everything else got cooked, which took about 20 minutes. So it stayed warm and being slightly cooked. Then I turned the heat back on and warmed it back up. So it hasn't actually had that much of cooking. So this is my dinner. So bye bye.